So that was the morning I woke up in Barstow with a hickey. I don't even remember how I got it. So the moral of the story...
So after 60 minutes, there is a moral to this story.
There's a moral of the story is never take acid at a pro wrestling show.
I might write that down. That's good. That's good advice there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to our viewer out there, welcome to episode 4 of Whiskey Words and Wisecracks. We're excited to be back to you this beautiful Bardstown afternoon, and I'm going to kick off some of the details of the show with Chris Harris, everybody.
Absolutely. As always, we come to you with a wine that I've brought and a whiskey Kyle provides, and then we're going to count down the 20 greatest rock and roll artists of all time.
What we've done, I found a list on Parade.com. It's of the 100 greatest rock and roll bands of all time. Now, they had some weird criteria, not our list. Chris and I took our top 20 artists off that list. We're going to compare it to that top 20. We're going to see where we came out. We're just going to discuss, have a little open forum about it. So, again, welcome to episode 4. And now, Chris, why don't you start us off with the wine portion today?
If you like what you see, like what we're doing, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
You probably should have already. I mean, it's been gold.
It's been gold this whole time. So, yes, I'm bringing a 2018 Bourbon Barrel Aged Cabernet Sauvignon.
Cabernet Sauvignon?
Sauvignon from Robert Mondavi.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right off the bat. Love bourbon, I love Cabernet Sauvignon, so this cannot possibly go wrong.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to get our glasses out for us here. Shout out to Chuckleberry Farms out here in, that's out around the Bardstown area. And a shout out to Little Paul's Winery in the Youngstown, Ohio area. There you go. If you want to pour those up for us, you can bring your dog right in the winery at Little Paws. It's pretty fun.
We gotta play our true or false game as well.
We do. We absolutely do. There's a score so far. You see, it's Kyle 3, Chris 1. And again, after this episode and the next, whoever has the most points is going to get to watch the other one drink some nastiness.
Some nastiness. So,
speaking of nastiness, hopefully that's not the case with this wine. Chris, you want me to pour, or would you like to pour here?
I'll give it a pour.
Give it a pour here. All right. I'm excited about this. Like I said, Cabernet, bourbon.
Robert Mondavi, his winery holds a yearly music festival, and the proceeds are donated to local music education and other charity.
True.
That is absolutely true. Robert Mondavi was very heavily involved in local music education. Yes, and he held a festival with many famous artists every year.
If I lived anywhere closer to where Mondavi is from, I would probably go to that. It sounds like a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In 1996, Mondavi was asked to serve as the torchbearer, and at 83 years old, he carried the Olympic torch down the streets of Napa.
I'm going to go false on that one.
That is true.
Dang!
He carried the Olympics torch in 1996, 83 years old.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Mondavi was a inspiration for the Dos Equis man as the most interesting man in the world.
The most interesting man in the world. Inspiration.
An inspiration for the Dos Equis.
That's a tough one. False.
That is false.
Hey, another point for the big guy. Sweet. That's been 3 so far, correct?
That is correct.
All right.
In 2004, Mondavi's winery sold for over $1 billion.
$1 billion.
2004, think about how long ago that's been.
You're trying to sway me away from saying true. So I'm going to say true.
That's true.
Bam!
Okay, last one. Now, we know his love for music.
Yes.
And the arts. In his 20s, Mondavi was a talented bassist, and his band was called Mondavi and the Fine Merlots.
Mondavi and the Fine Merlots. False.
That is false.
Dang, I'm
Kyle,
racking them up. I am
points.
racking them up. I read you like a book so far.
God.
I read you like a book. We're going to dive into this wine, folks. It looks delicious. Hold it up to the light there. Just a nice, dark, beautiful red color. Let's give it a swirl here. You're working on your swirl technique.
I am, yes.
Yeah, it's like a monkey grabbing a football right now, but you're getting there. Let's take a nose on this. Ooh, I get I got a lot of mineral. A lot of earthy kind of minerals.
Very earthy, yeah.
Yes, it's very earthy. Not getting a lot of sweetness on this one. Not on the nose. Not getting a lot of sweetness. Maybe a hint of some oak. I'm not getting a lot of bourbon on the nose here either. What do you think?
I feel like I'm getting quite a bit of oak in mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's dry, but it's flavorful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a nice, kind of like a full-bodied, jammy character to it that I'm liking very much. It kind of has a good mouthfeel. It kind of sticks in your mouth pretty well, if that makes sense. It kind of sticks around. It doesn't just whoosh right down.
Some black cherries, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, how does this feel? I know you go to sweeter wine normally. How is this on your sweet scale? Are you liking this, or are you finding this a little dry in your palate? I know you tend to go sweet, so.
I do like sweet wine, but this isn't bad.
Isn't bad. Okay, I like it. I'm enjoying this. You get a little sweet as I move it to the end of the front of my tongue, where the sweet receptors are. I'm going to pull a little sweetness out of it, a little bit of the dark fruit sweetness. So not much, but a little bit. And I like the way, like right now, it's kind of there. It's kind of sticking around, kind of lingering nicely.
Maybe blackberry.
Yeah, I could. Yeah.
I just had last night actually. I poured a glass of blackberry wine, so I'm still on that blackberry, dark berries.
That's definitely. As I swirl it and open it, now I'm starting to get some oak on it. And I'm not getting a lot of bourbon on it actually.
I'm not getting any bourbon.
Not getting a lot of the bourbon finish on it. That's good. I mean, I think that's very good. Patty and I got a bottle of Mondavi actually aged in rye barrels.
Okay.
It was pretty dry. I mean, did not chalk up as one of our favorites. It was pretty dry. So it was one of those, honey, I think this wine is yours kind of wines.
Right.
I just, a little bourbon right there. Little oak barrel right there. Yep. Right there. Let it sit a little bit. Kind of comes out right at the end there as it kind of sets. I'm getting some bourbon on there. A little bourbon barrel. Kind of comes out like an oaky caramely kind of taste.
Caramely?
Yeah.
You get any vanilla or brown sugar on this, or?
No, I am not. No, I am not. No. So, Chris, I'm liking this. I want to maybe invest in the bottle. What am I looking at for this? How much am I looking at?
You're looking at very reasonable, $13.
$13.
$13.
All right.
So everything that I review is, I try to tend to look at your budget and what you get for your money and go on the cheaper side.
Right.
$10 range, $10, $15 range.
You get a lot of good wines for that, I found through the years.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at here.
That's where we are.
$13. Not a bad deal.
One more swig here. It's just good. It's very, like I said, it's got a nice mouthfeel, good body to it. I'd go and get a bottle of that for $13, and I probably will, to be honest with you. Where is it? A Liquor Barn find again?
It is Kroger.
Kroger. All right.
Kroger Liquor Store find.
All right. Kroger Liquor Store. I get some good values in that Kroger Liquor Store. I'm just here to tell you. Case discounts as well. Hint, hint.
Yeah, those EQ bonds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's good living is what that is.
Yeah. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more. Leave us a comment. Leave me a comment if you have a favorite wine of yours or you're thinking about buying a wine, doing some research. I'll go and buy it. We'll review it. Make sure you subscribe, comment, send us a like. We'll keep bringing you some value, hopefully, and recommendations for wine. And
Salud.
Salute. All right, so we finished our wine portion, and now we're on to our whiskey portion. What are we reviewing today?
Today we will be reviewing just a classic in my house. It's a bottle we always keep around, Larceny. Larceny Wheated Bourbon. And I'm not going to give many more details than that right now because we're about to play our trivia game here. So
I hope that is so good, I want to steal it and take it home tonight.
I tell you, the bottles in our house disappear all the time, so it's very aptly named.
You better watch out.
Better watch out.
Better keep an eye on that.
Better keep an eye on that, for sure. I've seen this guy over here.
And our trivia game, I am currently losing 7-1. So good luck to me. I might be chugging down that shot of deliciousness.
Yes, indeed, you may be. All right, are you ready for question number 1, Mr. Harris?
Yes, I am.
Bring on the bell. 3% of all larceny theft cases in the United States in 2019 were bicycles. 3% of larceny cases in the United States in 2019 were bicycles.
I had my bicycle stolen. That's a true story. And I'm pissed because somebody stole my bicycle, had it on the side of the house, our old house. Bicycle was stolen. It felt very much like Pee Wee Herman. I went to the Alamo. They told me they didn't have a basement.
You got kind of a Pee Wee Herman vibe.
I know,
I'm going
right?
to be honest here with the people here. I'm going to be honest with the people. Let's call you what you
could
are.
play Tequila right now in the video.
We could, absolutely. Okay, Chris, now back to brass tacks here. Is it 3% of all theft cases are bicycles?
That is false.
That is false. That is true.
That's true.
That is true.
No
Your streak continues. All right, question number 2. John E. Fitzgerald was a U.S. Treasury agent with keys to all the bonded rickhouses. This is back a long, long time ago. He would use those keys and his vast knowledge of bourbon to get samples from the best barrels. He would sneak them, steal them, larceny them. True or
That
false?
is false.
That is true. As I see the story right on the back of the bottle, which is why I will not let you see the bottle up until this point. Number 3. Beam Suntory, I believe it is, who owns Beam, actually, created Larceny. Actually, it was their first wheated bourbon to steal fans of the sweeter tasting wheated bourbons away, steal fans away from Maker's Mark and Weller. They created a wheated bourbon to steal fans of Maker's Mark and Weller.
That is false.
That is absolutely made up. Yes, sir. He gets a point. Here we go. I would hate to win like the 5-inning rule or something like that. I would hate to have that. So I'm glad you're getting some points here. All right, number 4. With an MSRP of around $30, Larceny is considered to be one of the best bourbon values out there.
True.
That is false. This bottle was actually $19.99.
Really?
Yes.
That's a hell of a deal.
$19.99. So, and that was a $21.99 at Kroger with a $2 coupon that he mentioned, an e-coupon.
We'll see if that's a steal.
We'll see if it's a steal. It was pretty good, folks. All right, number 5. There are 3 different types of Larceny bourbon. The 92 proof seen here, also known as small batch. There's a barrel proof version that comes out 3 times a year, and a single barrel. There are rumors around Bardstown, and this is actually a Heaven Hill product. To give a shout to Heaven Hill here, as I called it a Beam product before. That Heaven Hill is making a 10-year-old version called Grand Larceny, which I think is very creative, and it is in the works as we speak. So 3 types of Larceny. There's Larceny small batch, Larceny barrel proof, and Larceny single barrel, with the Grand Larceny 10-year-old product in the works for 2021.
True.
False. Totally made up.
Totally made up.
Yeah. All right, so
7-2.
After these 2 rounds, we're looking at 7-2. So basically, next time the first one I get right puts me mathematically out of drinking the vial solution. So I'm sitting pretty right now. I just got to get one of his 5 right. So, it's tough to be a Harris right now.
Tough to be a Harris.
All right, let us pour this this Larceny here and give it a taste, shall we?
Idea board. Dickel plus dill pickle equals no.
Larceny. We've started Chris off now. Let me get a little to our backstory here. We've started Chris off with some lower proof bourbons, and this is actually on the show is venturing up into the higher, a little higher than he's had at 92 proof. This is something, again, that my wife Patty and I really enjoy. I'm a little more of a higher proof drinker. She's a little more lower proof. And this kind of comes in at a place where it's just a nice, had a rough day at work on Wednesday. Let's have a whiskey kind of thing while we watch TV. Let's have a whiskey and relax. So this is kind of what that is for us. It's one of the first bourbons we had together when we moved to Kentucky. We had it at a bar in downtown Bardstown, which are the Old Talbot Tavern, which is an excellent place to go if you're ever in town. Old Talbot Tavern. I recommend it to you as well.
I've heard of that.
And we ordered it, and we ordered that in an Elijah Craig small batch. And I actually like the Elijah Craig better. She liked the Larceny better, but Larceny, you'll find a bottle in our house almost all the time. So.
Well, you just stole Patty's heart, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
The Larceny helped. If you can get a little buzz in there, you start looking a little more Clooney-ish. I could use all the Clooney I can get. So. Let's nose this rascal, shall we?
The more she drinks, the better you look.
There you go. Absolutely.
That was a commercial. This guy.
Hi, I'm Fred from Dirt Cheap.
In St. Louis, little plug for Cheap, Cheap, Fun, Fun. He used to have commercials with
Cheap,
the chicken.
cheap, fun,
and they
fun.
say cheap, cheap, fun, fun. I grew up watching this guy. Dirt Cheap. Dirt Cheap beer and cigarettes. Fred from Dirt Cheap.
Well, the more she drinks,
Can I go with false?
the better
on the
you
front?
look.
right, let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it. Let's nose her up here. Tell me what you smell. Getting a slight oak and a lot of creamy vanilla I'm getting on this one. A lot of creamy vanilla. Swirl her up here. It's going to bring out a little ethanol when you swirl it at first.
I get that ethanol, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right away.
Right away. So let it settle a little bit. Keep your mouth open.
I get sweetness.
Yeah, wheat bourbons are typically sweeter. You get a little more fruit, a little more sweet fruit flavors on them typically. Yeah, these nice creamy vanilla and just a tiny hint of oak.
I get the oak.
And a little bit of cherry, typical cherry, a sweet vanilla, cherry, and oak. I'm getting what I say.
A little citrus.
Good, yeah.
Very caramel in color, kind of light.
It's one of the lighter whiskeys we've had. I can hold it up. We have an open door behind us kind of to the light there. And yeah, it is definitely a lighter. I believe it's 6 years in the barrel on this one.
Okay.
So, yeah, it definitely comes out a little lighter. And again, this is our first wheated bourbon on the show, I believe. So.
Okay, I'm going in.
Going in for a sip here. All right, here we go. I'm just going to watch. Remember, your first sip is just like sipping coffee in the morning when it's hot. You don't want to move it around your mouth yet. You just want to kind of sip it like a sip of coffee.
I got that on the tip of the tongue where the flavors are.
Yeah. It's flavorful, isn't it?
It's flavorful. Vanilla. Little hint of oak.
He's a little choked up here, folks. He's really enjoying this.
Getting that heat. Good heat.
It's good heat, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. It's like a nice...
Good burn.
Mm-hmm. I'm going for another
Smooth.
sip here. It is. It goes down nice. It really goes down the old blowhole very
Sweet.
nice.
Yeah, for $20, I think this is a really good value. Maybe that is a steal, huh?
It is. You got a lot of sweetness, a lot of oak on the finish, which is nice. I'm getting oak right now on the finish. It's kind of a quick finish. It goes away a little faster than some other bourbons. Mouthfeel is a little quick to the back of the palate. It's not hanging around in the mouth too long. But while it's there, you're getting cherry. You're getting some vanilla, a lot of sweetness, just a slightest hint of ethanol, but not enough to be overpowering. Go ahead, yes. And then as it goes down, nice and smooth going down, and then it kind of comes up a little oak at the end. A little oak comes through at the end.
Sometimes you get those whiskeys where the ethanol is too overpowering for the flavors, but that's not the case. In this one, you get the flavors, you get the burn, but it's not an overpowering burn at 92 proof.
Yeah, I'm getting just a nice vanilla, a little oak now. Got a little earthy note on that one. When I say earthy, I kind of just mean almost, it reminds me like a dusty barn or something like that. The ice cream truck. Ice cream! The ice cream truck is down the street, so that's always cool. I don't know if you can hear that, but... Yeah, I mean, it's just a solid, nice bourbon, I think, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And,
so, yeah, I would definitely buy that.
This is a good
bourbon
to have
around the house for a pour, you know.
Yeah, it's a good whiskey for someone starting their bourbon journey, I think, which is what you're doing. So
yeah, absolutely,
be a good one to start a cabinet out. It's not going to break the bank. It's not going to overpower any guests you might have.
Yeah.
Now, last episode, we had Basil Hayden's Dark Rye, which you said is the favorite whiskey you've had so far.
It is.
Now let me dig that out. Do we need to compare it to Larceny, or can you already declare that it is still your favorite?
Well, I might need a little reminder.
A little reminder of the Basil Hayden's Dark Rye, again, out of Patty's collection. So she's keeping track of every ounce we use here, and we are being billed for it. So, yes. So, here we go. Not bad pop there, not a bad pop. Let's get you just a little pour, a little reminder taste here, because we're paying by the ounce here. So, there you go. There's a refreshing little reminder. You can go side by side with them and pick which one you like best here.
And just on the color... Dark rye is obviously going to be
it's very dark. Yeah, with that barrel aging, with that port going in there, and yeah, that's going to make it darker for sure.
Say that. What did we say on this one? On molasses?
Yeah, we did for sure. Yeah, I remember that for sure.
Very sweet, very creamy. Getting that out of here. Yeah, right from the first.
Molasses
right on the nose.
Bad, yeah.
Molasses.
Some dark fruit.
Oh, very smooth.
He's got a decision to make. This is what we would call the current champion right here. This is trying to dethrone it. With a new whiskey palate, a guy just getting new to whiskey here. We're going to try to guide him. This is his first wheated whiskey he's tried on camera. So we're going to kind of see what he likes here. So we have a returning champion. You got to try the Larceny again. All right. Me too.
Oh, so creamy.
Tough decisions, folks. Tough decisions. A little more water. He's becoming a pro. You see the techniques he's using here. He's becoming a pro. And we're going to find you. We're going to kind of get your palate going the direction it's meant to go here. We got a lot of different whiskeys to try. So.
The aroma from the Basil Hayden's it's sexy. It's sexy. It's turning me on.
It's not the first time someone's looked at me and said sexy, obviously.
I don't know if it's the Basil Hayden's or if it's you or...
It's a whole lot of things going on here. I mean, we got a whole lot of things going on here, folks. It's me. Here we go. Here we go.
All right.
You got some deciding to do.
Larceny and Basil Hayden's. Both very good. Both very good price points. The winner is, and returning champ, Basil Hayden's. Dark rye.
Hold it up in victory. Sit down, Larceny. Excellent product. Love it. But it did not win today. We got a new whiskey palate here, and he's liking the Basil Hayden's Dark Rye.
I still just can't get over the packaging. I just like how it's put together. It looks classy.
Sexy bourbon for a classy feller.
Sexy bottle.
Bring it right front and center there for the viewer. Man, await that business. All right, so we have a returning champion. We have our Basil Hayden's, and that's been our whiskey segment today. Thank you very much, folks. Whiskey Words and Wisecracks. Remember to subscribe, hit that like button. All right.
You know, I love a good fish biscuit in the morning.
Now on to our Wisecracks part of this episode, lady and gentlemen. Gentlemen and lady. We took a list from Parade.com of the top 100 rock bands of all time. Now, there were some strange criteria that eliminated like Elvis, Billy Joel, and Elton John, but we took that list. That's the list we worked with. So I'm going to give you, we're each going to give you our top 20, counting down from 20 to 1. And I will also read to you from the original list. What do you think, Chris? We got a good format here?
I think we do. I think this is going to work out well. We both have interesting tastes in music.
Yep.
Similar, but perhaps we might find out. We grew up a little different generation here.
Yes, we did.
So.
I am 48.
And I'm 83.
And he's 83. So definitely a different group. So, okay. Without further ado, I'm going to read to you from the original list that we made this from. It was from a young lady named Jessica Sager from Parade.com. And her number 20 is the Allman Brothers. Number 19 is The Cure. 18 is The Band. 17 is CCR. And 16 is The Kinks.
What do you think about that?
I think, I wouldn't have any of those on my list, to be honest with you. I am
really?
not I can only name like 3 Kinks songs, and I'm not that huge a fan of any of them. Allman Brothers, I can name one of their songs, Ramblin' Man, and that kind of rambles on. Cure, they have a couple decent songs. But yeah, just CCR is probably the closest one I would have on my list.
CCR, that's my favorite of those.
Yes, by far, yes.
By far. I would have picked at least CCR for my list. I think I do have CCR on my list. Not to give it away too much,
right.
But I think she was a little off on what I wouldn't have The Cure. What was the other ones?
We had The Cure, The Kinks, the Allman Brothers.
I wouldn't have the Allman Brothers, although Dwayne Allman was one of the greatest guitar players of all time.
I like Hershey with almonds.
Hershey with almonds, very good.
So
him and Bo Skaggs made some good music together.
See, this stuff he knows. He's an old soul. This dude, 83 years old.
83 years old.
He's an old soul. So I'm ready to give my 20 through 16. All right, and I'm gonna have to defend some of these. You're gonna be like, what the heck is this guy doing? Any band we picked, again, has to be off of the original list. So you couldn't go off to the side and pick your own bands. They had to be off the original list. Number 20 for me, Blink-182. I know the influence they had with my kids, and I know I liked them very much, and I think they had a lot of influence in that generation. And you got to keep that generation in mind. You got to keep all generations in mind. At least I did. Number 19, Def Leppard. That's a band that my son and I both enjoyed. We actually went to one of their concerts, and I've seen them a few times, and I just think the way they rebounded from a couple interesting tragedies in their band and the longevity that they've had and the amount of hits that they've had is pretty impressive. In Excess, just like them. Michael Hutchins, a lot of catchy songs, a lot of songs that I grew up with, in high school and in that range of my life that I really enjoyed. So I put them on the list. Toto, 4 studio musicians that came together. I see you're really liking my list right now. Toto, 4 studio musicians that came together. Man, Hold the Line and Rosanna and Africa. I mean, those are 3 just classic songs and a lot of other good songs as well. So they made my list at number 17. Alice in Chains. I had to pick someone from that Pearl Jam kind of Seattle movement. And for me, it was Alice in Chains. I mean, just that. The Lane Staley, the harmony with Jerry Cantrell. I mean, that's just this original kind of dark harmony that they had. Loved it. On my list. Chris Harris.
Starting off number 20 on my list, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Great band. One of my favorite bands. I grew up in high school. I was wearing a Chili Pepper shirt yesterday, in fact. So, and Flea, one of the greatest bassists of all time.
Agreed.
You know, yeah. Great band. Played in their socks. Started out Los Angeles, 1983. So, have a lot of great hits. This is one of my favorites. Number 18, Guns N' Roses. Not a huge fan of Guns N' Roses, but you got to respect what they've done. Axl, one of the greatest frontmen and voices, I think. A little whiny.
In real life or in music?
In real life, well, both really. He's always up there, one of the greatest voices of all time, singers of all time. Always making that list, and they got some good songs.
They absolutely do.
So number 18 is Prince. Man, Prince, just one of those all-time greats. Guitar player. I love people that can play guitar, and I've always admired them. And I'm not great at guitar myself, or at all, so no. So you got to respect the Prince for his guitar skills. And, he's a great showman. Had some good hits in the 80s, 90s. Had a lot. There's something to be said about longevity too. So passed unexpectedly, So it's tragedy.
For sure. Okay.
17, I have Van Halen.
Van Halen. All
It's
right.
one of those great rock bands. I know one of your favorites.
Yes.
Eddie played the solo on "Beat It" for Michael Jackson.
2 takes.
Yeah, just
Heard the song one time and did it on 2 takes.
played his ass off. Great solo, one of those all-time greats. And I'm a big Michael Jackson fan growing up, so got to give props to Van Halen. And then number 16, Green Day.
Do you have the time to listen to me whine?
All right. Love Green Day. One of those that I grew up listening to. Billy Joe Armstrong, man, just great front man, great lyrics.
A lot of snare drum.
A lot of snare drum. And number 15, I have the Eagles. Just love the Eagles. One of my dad's favorite bands.
Mine too.
He always wanted to go see them. He loved Alabama, and he thought Alabama was kind of the country version of the Eagles for whatever reason. But just Joe Walsh, man, Henley, gotta love those guys,
Yeah. All right, Chris. Red Hot Chili Peppers again. I kind of lumped them in, and I hate to say this, but because they're from California, but I lumped them in with kind of the Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam era, and I ended up choosing Alice in Chains out of that. But they were definitely under consideration for sure. Guns N' Roses, love them. A big part of my life growing up. So you might hear them from me in a little bit here. Prince, phenomenal entertainer. You nailed it, hit it right on the head. Excellent bass player.
And he played a lot of instruments.
Yeah.
I rewatched the Super Bowl performance the other day, in fact, and if you remember, it was raining when he did it, and it was Purple Rain. It was almost magical because Purple Rain, Prince, and that morning I heard a guy say that was in charge of the Super Bowl. He called Prince and was like, he had like 4 electric guitars, and they were worried about the rain and electricity. And he said, man, it's raining. What are your thoughts? And Prince replied, can you make it rain harder? So
there you go. That's the attitude. That attitude of a showman right there, folks. Van Halen, you'll hear about them from me down the road. Love them, love them, love them. Green Day, one of my go-to karaoke songs is the Basket Case, actually.
Yeah.
One of my go-to karaoke songs. Don't leave me in on that. We'll do that sometime on the show. Eagles, again, my dad, same thing. Loved the Eagles growing up. Something we would sing together in the car driving around. So a lot of fond memories of that. And you're going to hear from them from me as well. All right, back to me. It's all about me. Okay, first of all, the young lady that made this list had at number 15, Little Richard. 14, Bruce Springsteen. 13, The Traveling Wilburys. 12 was Grateful Dead. And 11 was Pink Floyd. I'm going to say from that, I definitely think there's a good place for a lot of those. I think she hit it a little more on the head than the last 5. I went more on my own taste, and a lot of those are not really within my own personal taste, so you're not going to find them on my list, but I see why those are in there.
I like the Wilburys, but there's just a super group, and I think independently on their own did better on their own than they did as the Wilburys. I only know 3 songs of theirs that were big, and there's not really a lot of concert footage that I found of them as rockers, but yeah, obviously you got Petty and Dylan and Jeff Lynne and Roy Orbison.
I don't know if you've ever dealt with Traveling Dingleberries. That's a whole different thing altogether.
That's different.
That's a whole different animal there.
But see what else was on the list.
We had Springsteen, the Wilburys, Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd, Little Richard.
Little Richard, I'm a big fan of.
Absolutely a big fan of, for sure. Much respect, and yeah.
Who just passed away
this year. Just passed away, yes. That's a terrible segue to my list. My number 15 was REO Speedwagon. That's just me growing up again. That's just, memories, and my wife and I love to have a few drinks and sing some REO Speedwagon. You do not want to hear that. But it's a lot of fun, and just something we've always played together, and I think it brings a lot of good memories, and probably do it again this weekend. So Black Sabbath, and this was on the 70s in the original list. Come on, man, these are heavy metal. These are gods. These guys, they were doing it. They were some of the first people to do that heavy metal kind of rough, guitar-driven, awesome rock and roll. And that's
respect to Ozzy.
Respect to Oz. You have to. Yeah. Beach Boys. Gosh,
what number is that for you?
That is number 13 for me. 13. Is the Beach Boys. That's driving around the car with my stepdad and my mom. Just a fun. They sang about it. It was fun. It was California. It was sunshine, and for a kid from Ohio, that was like a different world to me, and it kind of brought me to a place that was pretty cool. And as part of my childhood, I had to give them the respect that they deserve from me. So they are number 13. Number 12, AC/DC. Back on the theme again, they're singing about fun stuff. They're singing about girls. They're singing about drinking. They're singing about having fun. It's kind of the anti-grunge type of rock and roll for me. And the hits, the voice, just that kind of unique Bon Scott and Brian Johnson vocal that, just not a lot of bands can pull that off, and AC/DC's done it twice. So. Journey for number 11. Stephen Perry joined that group and just took them to a whole nother level. His vocals and their just that very, again, it takes me back to that era. And you're most influential musically between the ages of 10 and 30. And for me, Journey was right in there. And was kind of part of me growing up. I remember my cousin had a band trying to play Journey, and they were doing a pretty good job. And as a little kid, I just looked at them and go, "Who's going to sing for you?" And they just kind of scratched their heads. And the band broke up about 2 days after that, actually. So, but yeah, Journey is my number 11. So that's it for my next 5. Chris, what do you think about those?
Beach Boys, having fun, California, surfing, girls, absolutely one of my favorites. Journey. Not a huge fan of Journey.
Not a huge fan of Journey.
Maybe
different eras again. 83 years old.
Different eras. Black Sabbath. Respect Ozzy, but didn't make my list. Who else we got in there?
We had REO Speedwagon and
REO.
AC/DC.
AC/DC. Oh yeah, well, respect to AC/DC. When you think of rock and roll, I think AC/DC is
Simple riffs. I mean, when you're learning to play an instrument, you get handed an AC/DC song pretty much off the bat. They're fun to play. Yeah.
You know, Brian John, Bon Scott.
Yeah,
those two. All right, so
we're going 15 through 11 here for Harris. He's doing some counting.
Did I do 6? Chili Peppers, Gino, Prince, Van Halen, Green Day, The Eagle. I think did I do 6?
Well, now you're doing 4. Then that's okay. We can rebound from it. We can rebound from this.
Did I do 6?
We'll get through this. You might have. I wrote down 5. 1, 2, 3. Yep, 6. You did. I can't count my own. Yes, you did 6. So Chris is bringing us 4 right now. Got to recover from that. See, recover from that. Got to recover. Don't let it bring the show down.
All right. Number 14, David Bowie.
David Bowie.
Love David Bowie. He's got, Space Oddity. I just like he did different things, with he was always changing his look, his style, always trying to do something different. Love David Bowie. Number 13, I have The Doors. Jim Morrison, just an animal, man. Partying. The Lizard King.
You can do anything.
Lizard King, Light My Fire. Got kicked off the Ed Sullivan Show, I believe. So, because he wouldn't change the lyrics. Then number 12, I have The Who.
The Who? The Who?
The Who? Who?
Oh, okay.
Who? Pete Townsend, just one of the greatest guitar players. Entertaining, Windmill, come on. And, just one of the greatest of all time. And number 11, I, as well on my list, have the Beach Boys.
All right.
So we agree on that. Just fun, surfing, living in the Midwest. It's something you kind of dream of.
Yeah.
California.
Mm-hmm. It's this
beach.
golden place out there,
So that's my 4 for the second.
All right. Well, my journey. When you thought of my journey, I think of your Bowie. I'm just not a big Bowie, Space Odyssey kind of guy. Doors, love them. They were really close to making my list. I think you summed them up very well. The Who, same thing, very close to making my list, but not quite. That era with me was a little, before me, so I didn't dive back that much into it. So that said, I'm going to come at you with my numbers 10 through 6. Number 10, I had Bon Jovi. I'm 48 years old. It was Bon Jovi growing up. It was, that was us. That was us. We were all living on a prairie back then. That was just more my generation than you can have. That was us.
That's
Rush, number 9.
My generation.
My generation.
That's
Talking about my generation.
Talking about.
Rush, number 9, musicianship. Talent, just the musical talent that Rush had. I think they deserve to be on every list just based on that alone. Just Geddy Lee, Neil Peart, Alex Lifeson. Come on.
Neil Peart just passed away.
Neil Peart just passed away. Yeah, I mean,
you only got so much time to see these classics, legends.
You get a 3-piece together like that, and it sounds like 5 guys playing. That's some talent. Just like, how many people are in this band? So Rush, number 8, Genesis. That's some. We got a little lump from Happy there. Genesis, Phil Collins. I mean, there's just a great Peter Gabriel. I mean, 2 great lead singers and. Some songs of my youth, some songs I enjoy listening with Patty. We listen to them all the time to this day, and they've stayed tried and true. The songs are still good. I liked them then. I like them now. Genesis, and from him. Number 7. Number 7, Van Halen. Oh my gosh, just my cousins growing up. I mentioned a lot of growing up, but I mean, this, like I said, you're tied to music from when you're 10 to your 30s when you develop your musical taste. Just the hits, the 2 lead singers, I like them both equally. I'm not a Hagar or a Roth, maybe slightly lean toward Hagar, actually. The hits, my gosh, just sitting around and jamming in the car, and just Eddie Van Halen, I mean, just one of the greatest guitar players of all time, and just love them, absolutely love them. That's all I got to say about them. Number 6, Fleetwood Mac. I think Stevie Nicks vocally has an amazing. Her voice is an amazing gift, and I really enjoy listening to them. And there's a lot of great songs that I've come to appreciate Fleetwood Mac more as I've gotten a little older, actually. And just lately, I've been really find myself cranking them up on the radio and enjoying Fleetwood Mac. So We had Fleetwood Mac, Van Halen, Genesis, Rush, Bon Jovi. Thoughts?
Phenomenal. All of them. I'll crank up Bon Jovi, myself. Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, beautiful voice, beautiful herself.
Yeah.
Van Halen obviously was already on my
Talked
list.
about them. Yeah.
Genesis, Phil Collins, can't go wrong. Rush, I never got big into Rush though. So
my friends were more into Rush, but I just had to appreciate their musicianship. And my friends are musicians, a lot of them, and they just would point out little things that Neil Peart would do on the drums. It's like, listen to this. You're like, holy crap.
Yeah, Neil Peart, one of the time.
As a bass player, like I used to play bass a little bit, not very well, but enough to be in a band for a little bit. But my gosh, Geddy Lee on the bass is ridiculous. On keyboards, kind of switching back and forth. It's
I love a great drummer too. Peart, Keith Moon from the Who. So
talking about your generation again.
Back to the generation.
Back to the generation. All right, Chris, let's have your 10 through 6 here. Isn't that where we are? Yeah.
Yeah, 10 through 6.
Yeah.
I have number 10.
All right.
Creedence Clearwater Revival. One of my favorites of all time. One of my grandpa's favorites. John Fogerty. He just had that gravel in his voice. To just,
had a bite to it.
Had a bite
voice
to it.
with a bite to it.
Just I know he talked about Bayou in Louisiana, and just some of their guitar riffs, just were very well done. Good. They played Woodstock, so they were one of those all-time classics. I can say they played Woodstock. I saw John Fogerty in St. Louis actually. Just put on an amazing show. Kenny Aronoff, another great drummer, was actually drumming for him. So Aronoff is drummed for some of the greats. Number 9, Little Richard. I grew up listening to Little Richard. My grandparents again. They had a CD, Little Richard, and
it's funny how this is all coming from memories and youth and that era with us, which you remember growing up as so frequent on both our lists.
Yeah, my grandparents had those old CDs and. I think a little rock and roll, just the energy he brought to the stage, and he was big in a time when segregation was going on, unfortunately, in the United States, and he brought together everybody of several races and backgrounds just for the music, and
I would subscribe to that.
It's just a beautiful thing, and he was a hell of a performer.
Well said.
Number 8, Tom Petty, one of my favorites. Just, Last Dance with Mary Jane, and Wildflowers, and he was a Wilbury too. So I didn't want to put the Wilburys and
I understand that.
So, but yeah, Tom Petty, just one of those all-time Free Fall, and all time. I listen to that in the car a lot, sing to myself. And number 7, AC/DC on my list. Just nice. We think of rock and roll, AC/DC. Bon Scott, come on. He's passed away too young. Brian Johnson did wonderful filling in. Yeah,
you can. That's a tough voice to replace.
It's tough frontman to replace. Bon
sure.
Scott. But he stepped in very nicely. And Angus Young, holy crap, one of the most entertaining guitar players to watch ever. Just back and forth on the stage, always moving up and down.
I celebrated his birthday with him at a concert in Cleveland, actually. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. They did some special, put him up over the crowd and did some pretty cool stuff with him. That was awesome.
All 5'2" of Angus
All 5'2" of them. We have a dog present. Hopefully one of ours. Yeah.
And number 6 I have as Queen. Freddie Mercury, Live Aid.
Right.
Just an incredible performance. Incredible voice. One of the all-time greatest voices in rock and roll.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. Very vocally gifted, for sure.
Is that Brutus?
That's Dax, actually.
Dax?
Yeah. Dax is an old English bulldog that we own, kind of looking for us and trying to figure out what the heck is going on here.
Hey, Dax.
Hey, Dax. Everybody. All right, we're rolling again here, folks. We had to take a brief break here. We have a dog in the studio with us named Dax Sullivan, who I don't know if you can see him on camera or not, but he's cute. Old English Bulldog. Very friendly. Does not, a little leery of Chris here. All right, we're going on numbers 5 through 1 on our rock and roll top 20 list. I'm going to give the 5
top
through
5.
1. Top 5. There you go. I'll give 5 through 1 off the list we took it from. Again, off Parade.com from a young lady named, where is her name here? I wrote it down. Jessica Sager. Her number 5 is Guns N' Roses. Her number 4 is Queen. Her number 3 is Prince. Her number 2 is the Rolling Stones. And her number 1 is the Beatles. I think it's pretty solid.
Pretty solid, yeah.
I think that's pretty solid. I mean, I know we have some of the same ones on our list, I'm guessing. So I don't want to go into hers too much. I'd rather pull it from our list. So, without further ado, my number is 5 through 1. Number 5, Guns N' Roses. Chris talked about Axl Rose's voice. When Appetite for Destruction came out, I think it was kind of just what we needed in rock and roll. It kind of disrupted the hair metal a little bit, which I like as well, but it was just kind of that grassroots LA kind of hard rock, and it just was sitting around at the time we're playing Nintendo and just rocking Guns N' Roses on nights there wasn't anything going on. Playing some Tecmo Bowl and listening to some Guns N' Roses and
yep.
good stuff.
I've look on YouTube. He got into a fight with a person in the crowd in St. Louis.
Yes,
I've been to. It was at Riverport. I've been there too.
What's in the water in St. Louis? All the stuff you got going on over there. Weird Freddy commercials and people. Okay, number 4, the Eagles. I think you got 5 guys that can be a front man on just about any band with their voices. And I mean, you put 5 guys that can harmonize like that can write songs like that. You got Don Henley. You got, it's just Joe Walsh, Glenn Frey. Come on now. I mean, that's just. I know. Come on now. We're saying it a lot, but come on now. That's so much talent, and just driving around in the car with my dad, singing the songs, and thinking we could sing like they could, which I don't know. That's probably not true, but it was fun to try, and a lot of good memories with that. Number 3, Metallica. How many times growing up in high school did I see kids with Metallica T-shirts on? The influence they had over that, it was kind of the stoner class in my high school at the time, and just kids that were looking for a kind of a clique, a way to kind of find their own niche, and Metallica kind of found that for them. It's kind of a way to get out their aggression and to kind of establish themselves in our school growing up. And the more I listen to them, the more you can appreciate the musicianship there, the longevity you talked about. They've been around forever, and just a lot of talent. Just to play at that speed back in the day. I know if you've ever tried that, it is not easy. Number 2, I had Queen. You got Freddie Mercury. You got just the opera the element they brought, music, just the harmonies, the creativity that they had. I mean, just the stadium rock songs they had. They show that Live Aid when Queen played there. Can you imagine being at a concert like that and trying to go after Queen?
Oh.
The stadium anthems that they had. Imagine trying to follow that.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody and just that story and everything, and how the ups and downs that they had, and quite frankly, how Freddie Mercury was treated in that. I mean, it was just the exploitation that he endured. It's just a great band, one of the greatest voices of all time. And number 2 on my list, behind the Beatles, 27 number 1 songs. Just they're integral to the development of the '60s. That they had Indian music infused in there, psychedelica was in there. I mean, just elements of classical pop. I mean, just they had ballads, just all over the place, and established so much for so many bands. And I think that's number 1, hands down. Agree with the list. Agree with the original list, and that is my number 1. Passing it off to you for your 5 to 1.
I think your list is very solid. I didn't have Metallica, but I did heavily consider them for the list. But as I got towards the end, I wanted to make considerations for other bands.
Mm-hmm. I had some of those too.
Right. Just for the time period and stuff. Just only 20, but very solid list. All of them except for Metallica on my list. So.
Right. Oh, really? Wow.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So number 5, I have the Stones. One of the all-time, when you think rock and roll, Stones. In fact, I believe at one time they were being promoted as the greatest rock and roll band of all time, which whether or not be true. It's what they were obviously considered as. And Mick, great front man, can't dance. Keith Richards,
Keith Richards can't die.
Keith Richards has been around forever. I mean, come on. But Keith, one of the greatest guitar players, and he came up with some of the greatest riffs for the Stones. So. Number 4, I have Jimi Hendrix, who did not make your list. So.
He did not, no. He did not. I see you repping Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah,
there.
I've had this shirt since like high school, so it's got holes and stuff, and I love Jimi
It's
Hendrix.
Awesome shirt.
I had his poster on the wall. Just love Hendrix, just what he did with distortion and the pedals and left-handed, and you gotta love the guy. Played Woodstock.
That's just an important criteria for you, Woodstock.
Woodstock. It's just.
Did you go to the Woodstock that was in your lifetime? Did you go to that in '97? Was it?
I was 9.
You were 9. So did you go or not?
No, there was supposed to be a 50th.
Bro.
There was supposed to be a 50th.
It was 9.
Woodstock anniversary last year, but it got scrapped. So.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, I've also had a poster of this guy in my apartment, Mr. Bob Dylan. I've seen him 3 times. I've seen Dylan 3 times.
I know. He talks about Dylan a lot in our conversations. He's a big Dylan guy. Yes.
The folk music, the stories, the imagery he uses. Went electric at the Newport Folk Festival in the 60s. And kind of shaped music for future generations. I think a lot of, from the White Stripes. Also one of my favorites. He was heavily... the White Stripes are heavily influenced by Dylan, and Hendrix influenced the Beatles. So, just one of those all-time greats. Number 2, I have Zeppelin. Was Zeppelin on your list?
I forgot. I omitted Zeppelin. That was terrible. I forgot about Zeppelin. Oh my gosh.
Wow, Led Zeppelin.
Wow.
I have number 2.
That's awful. That is a terrible job by me. Terrible job by me. I made an original list and they were number 2.
And number 2.
I just flat out forgot about them.
They're number 2 on my list. So when I think rock and roll, I think Zeppelin. John Bonham on drums. We're talking about drummers. Yeah. Just one of the greatest. Jimmy Page.
When John Bonham passed away, Led Zeppelin was done, and that's something to be said. The loyalty that they had for each other, they were done. That was it. Our drummer's gone. Our band is gone. Moving on. That's something to be said about that.
So
something to be said about that.
And number 1 on my list, the Beatles. Come on, Came over and I had a list about the Beatles. I believe they came over to the States in 63 or 1964, February the 7th, 1964. They played Ed Sullivan. February the 9th, 1964 from Liverpool. That just shot them to fame. I rewatched the concert they had in Shea Stadium. You couldn't hear the music, the fans, just Beatlemania. So 27 number 1.
27 number 1.
I think 183 or 184 million units sold. Album sold number 1. The greatest selling artists of all time. So, you got to give it to the Beatles.
You got it. Yeah. Hats off to the Beatles. Hats up to the Beatles, yes.
And they all had great solo career, every single one of them.
Anytime you get a group of talent together, like the Eagles, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, it's just so much talent coming together and making it work,
Right. Even, Ringo, I think he had the first single after the Beatles, which is surprising.
It is, actually, yeah.
So, if I'm wrong, I'll cut that out.
If I look distracted, I have a dog crawling around on my feet, so he's being a good boy.
Lennon and McCartney, for sure.
For sure.
So
the Mount Rushmore music, I think, would have Lennon and McCartney.
Yeah. So that's our list. If you have something else, did we miss somebody? Do you hate our list? Do you like our list? Let us know.
Let us know. You probably hate mine because it's kind of an interesting list. But
if we left somebody out, let us know in the comments.
Let us know as you subscribe and like.
Absolutely. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like.
I think that's it for episode 4 of Whiskey, Words, and Wisecracks. From the Moon's over my Drammy Saloon in beautiful Bardstown, Kentucky. We're out.
Out.